I'm Jay Kingley, co-founder and CEO of Maven Advisors, your host of Fractionals Unplugged. I'm joined today by Kristi Perdue of Alterbridge Strategies. Kristi is a fractional chief AI officer. She works with B2B SaaS CEOs and founders, typically companies with about 50 to 750 employees, especially those selling into enterprise, mid-market, and regulated buying environments. She's based in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, Kristi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Are you feeling undervalued and stuck in the frustrating cycle of an inconsistent pipeline and income, despite consistently delivering exceptional results for your clients? Maven's proven 97% done-for-you client acquisition system transforms your expertise into a steady income of $300,000 to $500,000 a year, providing lasting financial security and establishing you as the go-to resource for your clients' toughest challenges. Join Jay Kingley, CEO of Maven, and his guests as they share actionable insights on today's episode of the Fractionals Unplugged podcast.
Kristi, you're at a conference focused on AI, and you meet an executive at a B2B SaaS company who is using AI, at least internally. You walk up, you shake hands, and you give them some quick context on you in less than 60 seconds. What would you say to them?
Well, I am a certified chief AI officer, and I know that you're struggling a little bit with AI, if not a lot. Now with AI, well, that's not exactly a strategy. I work with traditional software and SaaS CEOs and founders just like you, and the companies are moving fast on AI, but I do know that governance, evidence, and buyer answers haven't quite caught up with your innovation. SaaS market, should we move with what's going on and what we're being challenged with from the native AI companies? Well, you don't really have a lot of choice anymore. You're being asked by your customers, should we use AI? Should you? Are you? How are you governing it? You're being asked a lot of hard questions, and they expect answers. I work with leaders like yourselves to make sure that you're able to answer those questions and a lot more, that your developers understand the guardrails, that you understand operational governance, that the threats and opportunities are understood, and that those questions about evidence aren't bothering you. They're not bothering anyone because that evidence is readily accessible. The next buyer, board meeting, security review, those gaps that could become major headaches are a thing of the past.
Thank you, Kristi. Okay, what are the biggest challenges that B2B mid-market SaaS companies have when it comes to AI today?
They're really dealing with about three big challenges. The first is around visibility and around how the company is evolving or not. Whether a leader knows it, AI is already being used across the company. Now, personal accounts as well as untrained people, it just riddles risk. It screams risk. And there's likely scenarios that CEOs haven't had to deal with. They're not thinking about what kind of risk goes along with AI. Now, tech companies face the same challenges that everybody else does, and they're really not thinking about it like a lot of people aren't. They face the same concerns: training, shadow AI, responsible AI. What do we need to do when it comes to change management, governance? It's just a challenge of how do we shift our engineer culture and reframe it for, and believe it or not, a lot of engineers aren't just loving the fact that AI is coming in here and coding is supposed to be so great, but they have to reframe this from pure code creation to now you're an architectural orchestrator. You're a code reviewer. And as an engineer, you're supposed to think this is a wonderful role versus that it may be diluting your role. And this is a huge issue with a lot of software companies.
So you mentioned risk.
Yeah.
Every executive who's decent, managing risk is part and parcel of what they do day in and day out. So what's different about AI when it comes to risk management?
AI opens the entire world to everyone in the company. AI put a user interface on accessibility. frankly, without guardrails. And I think everyone had to learn this as they started using it. It allows equal access to a very powerful technology that has, frankly, tentacles into a lot of your very valuable data, depending on how you've set it up, or depending on what any employee may feed it. So unless you've trained everyone, which a lot of companies have not done, the typical marketing person or the typical admin or the typical, maybe the HR person, is not necessarily thinking in the same way an executive might think when they're using AI. Now, the one thing is that a lot of people are still using it as Google or as a Google replacement. But as they start to advance or start to see something happen, the likelihood of putting a customer name or really risking the company's reputation, putting in lines of code because they think, okay, well, I can have it review this code as a developer. The ability to risk losing your own IP escalates, and it happened basically overnight. Every company had to adjust.
Obviously, AI is top of everyone's mind today. Now, for the B2B SaaS companies, which AI-specific challenges, and I'm after one, would you say is the most important, urgent, and valuable symptom that they need to solve?
The biggest one that they have to solve is the gap that they have between governance and understanding what that is and the proof in order to get buyers' trust. And I kind of combine those because it's something that they haven't had to do before. They've had to worry about buyers' trust previously, but because AI has so many tentacles into everything, there's now, and because AI is advancing workflows, it's advancing value, it's doing so many things, the connections between how you develop, what you provide, what you give it access to, and how you govern it in your SDLC, your software development lifecycle, what you say you can do, are now things you have to prove with evidence, not just say confidently. So all of those things have to tie together. And a lot of software companies just aren't sure how to answer those questions or even where to find the answers right now.
I'm curious, what would you tell the CEO of a B2B SaaS company that they should not be using AI for over, let's say, the next 6 months? What's the don't go there, it's not the right time?
Yeah, there are a couple things. I would not specifically go down the path of trying to use AI for doing anything in their product to make something fancy with video. It's not advanced enough in video. I would not use AI specifically to dig into anything that really crosses that line. It's come a long way. It has come a really long way with how good the models are, but really providing automatically for it to go out and take action without letting a human push that button to say yes, I wouldn't do it. Not if you're providing software to someone. I would not do that because your clients are still going to want to have the control. Even as a technology person, you want to do the most innovative thing. You want to provide that to someone, but users are still going to be responsible. The human is still responsible. And being able to push that button is paramount. So I wouldn't put that into your technology anytime soon.
Good advice. Let's go back to this issue of governance and how governance relates to the customer experience and how customers use what you're doing. Now, that's their big symptom. It's clearly still active. Let's talk about outcomes, business outcomes that these B2B SaaS companies want, but they're not able to achieve them because they have not been able to resolve this critical symptom of how governance ties to their customers. The question is, what business outcomes do these companies want to desperately get, but they are unable to get there because this key symptom that you talked about, which is how governance relates to customers is still unsolved.
Yeah, absolutely. Once the outcomes that they're looking for, and once they get through the pain, they want to be able to answer those tough questions. Number one, they want to be able to see where they have exposure, and they want to be able to turn over that evidence, have the right guardrails in place, know what those guardrails are. Current client I'm working with, frankly, didn't know what the guardrails were because they have certain processes through the SDLC, but AI requires different things. So what are those? So knowing what those are, knowing where and what they need to train on, if that is required, and who owns what. Having those answers versus guessing or not really being sure is a very uneasy feeling, especially when you've been doing this for a long time. You can do it in your sleep. That's an uneasy feeling. So having those AI processes down, reliably being able to produce evidence, that's what they're looking for. And being able to go through a review when the board asks, or before the board asks, before an investor asks, before a security review comes up, and all of a sudden your AI is under question. Many haven't moved yet, frankly. Many of the software companies, SaaS companies, some are moving somewhat, but the majority haven't really taken the steps. And a lot of it's because they don't know what to do, quite frankly. And some of it is around all of this is we don't quite know what to do. We don't know what we don't know. But CEOs are starting to feel the pressure because of AI native software companies coming in.
Let's continue with this symptom of how governance relates to customers. You identified that as the most important, urgent, and valuable problem related to AI that these B2B SaaS companies are having. So clearly, they're not sitting around and twiddling their thumbs. They're actively trying to deal with this issue. But I think you know that their go-to moves that they're using to deal with this never really work out well. So first start by talking about what is it that they tend to do to try to address this. And then we'll talk about why they don't work out so well.
It's kind of ironic, really. You have technical people. They're used to figuring things out. They know how to ship software, adopt tools, move fast, solve things. This is what they do. It's problematic when they can't figure things out. That's the whole challenge. That's why they are in this business. However, Gen AI it's not even AI. Many of them have been working with AI and machine learning for a long time. It's already in their products. It's Gen AI that's the different beast. It's what added the user interface to it. It's what made it available to everyone, that changed the game, really, and changed the operating model for everyone. It's not just another tool in the stack. It touches how code gets written. It touches how we sell the product. It touches how we ship. It touches how we use it.
I get you on that, but I'm interested in what is it that they're doing to try to solve the governance problem that you identified as being top of the list.
Well, what they're doing is what they've always done, is they've gone to the product first. They've built in a few little things. I hate to say that many of them have just ignored the governance problem. It's just now that they're realizing that the ground has shaken underneath them, that the shift is really happening. What has happened is that traditional software, traditional SaaS, it's just another technology. Let's immediately embed it into the software, into the product. Let's update the roadmap. Let's deliver it. We'll create a demo. It'll be sharp. It'll look great. And that's what we do. That's what we always do. This is the whole, we do what we do. And those that did put out their software product or their Gen AI chatbot and didn't really get the exact reaction that they expected. It wasn't a needle mover per se. The danger really with what they were doing and what they're seeing now is it's just surface level. The co-pilots, the summaries, the experiments per se, all of it is useful, but it's not defensible. you start getting asked the question, even if you have a little bit more in-depth product other than a chatbot, you're still going to be asked the question, what's happening to my data? What happens when I talk to this? Where's the data coming from? The real winners that are moving towards AI first. And that's really where you're creating workflow intelligence and you're doing proprietary data advantage. You're looking at the value and embedding decision support, and customer outcomes are changing drastically, and the governance buyers can trust it. That's when all the questions can be answered. And this is where the SaaS companies are standing back going, okay, I don't know if I want to move any further on this right now because I'm asking questions that I don't understand and that I can't really answer. But this is where the market's heading.
So in my experience, most companies, when they're faced with the challenge, they're highly focused on solving it. But what they tend to do is focus on the symptom because that's their lived experience. And when you focus on the symptom, you're really misdiagnosing the cause. So it's like you're playing whack-a-mole. You hit the symptom over here and you think you got it, but then it pops up over here. So what is your diagnosis on why these companies aren't addressing the symptom, or they're not getting rid of the symptom because they're not understanding what the real root cause is? So you're the doctor, diagnose it for us.
The CEOs that I've worked with faithfully use the traditional software SaaS playbook for years, and it focuses on features, seats, and adoption. And it's worked. Doesn't matter what's come to bear. The internet, cloud, I mean, it's always worked. The bar now, the metrics, the change, we still have some that are in denial, frankly. The root cause is that the diagnosis that you asked for is that traditional software, AI isn't a traditional software. It brings with it no boundaries, which traditional software always had certain boundaries of what could be done by any one coder or by a group of coders, what was possible. And AI brings with it the art of the possible, the thing that we always used to talk about of just imagine it and it can be done. And AI really brings that into mind, and force fitting, which is what the old traditional software SaaS companies have been trying to do, is force fitting AI into a traditional playbook that doesn't work anymore, not based off of the new metrics and new expectations from now that people have seen what AI can do and they're seeing the results of it.
So given your diagnosis, what's the treatment? What needs to be done to effectively deal with this symptom of governance and how governance impacts the customer experience?
These companies, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but aligning themselves along the path with governance, ownership, training, and what that means from an evidence standpoint, so that they can develop and answer those buyer questions, so that they are approaching the industry from more than just weak confidence and good intentions. That is one of the things that they should be figuring out how they can do. But trust is the name of the game now, and it's trust at a different level, but they need to understand, and I think many have felt this shift, but this is no longer a feature play. It's no longer what worked before, and it's a time to decide how you're going to evolve your product and evolve your company into this next era.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hear Kristi's story.
Is your pipeline inconsistent and rarely full? Do you struggle to stand out and communicate your unique value? The lead generation you've done or had others do for you has largely been a waste of time and money. You're stressed out and feeling guilty, worried that you're not living up to your own expectations or supporting those who matter most to you. Maven offers the only 97% done-for-you client acquisition service, trusted by top fractional executives and consultants. Our proven system takes care of your go-to-market strategy, lead generation, and sales, turning your expertise into a full pipeline and a high-converting sales process. With Maven, you'll achieve a predictable income, financial security, and the confidence you'll never have to take a job working for someone else. Contact j.kingley at fractionalmaven.com to discover how Maven can help you build a thriving business working with clients who value your insights and are a joy to work with.
Welcome back. We're talking to Kristi Perdue, a Fractional Chief AI Officer of Alterbridge Strategies. She works with mid-market B2B SaaS companies. Kristi, let's find out a bit more about you. Let me start by asking what happened in your life, personally or professionally, that most explains why you're doing what you do today.
I spent over 30 years in the SaaS world and pressure cooker, you might say. And although I have a lot of experiences and a lot of stories that really contribute to what I do today and why I do what I do, but it's really that lifelong career in B2B software and a love for tech. When I first saw Gen AI, I fell in love with what it is, what it does. I was introduced to AI in 2010 and started working with AI companies. And I've always been through the trajectory of my career of product development to strategic technologies to product management, product marketing, CMO. I've always been able to find and been wired, I guess, to find that gap between what people are saying and what's actually true, and perform kind of as that translator between the noise and the tech and the signal and what's really the easiest thing to understand. And I just, throughout my career, I would say that became known for that. And AI, Gen AI specifically, has made that, and all the noise that surrounds it, has made that gap between all the noise and the real signal that you need to pay attention to much more visible and more consequential, frankly. Leaders are under so much pressure to move fast, sound AI ready, whether they are or not. And the operational reality around that, they may not be ready. And they're having to act as if at all times. And I do this work because I can help see the patterns, name the risk, remove all the noise and craziness, and help get to that decision that actually matters. And with my unique background of SaaS and executive and all the different departments and everything else that I've worked in, and bringing in the AI and the governance layers, I have a unique blend of talent and I don't know what the word is right now, but insight that I can bring in and add for CEOs.
What's one thing that few people who know you would be surprised to hear?
I am an adrenaline junkie. I'm always trying to get things done. I used to compete on stand-up jet skis. I've jumped out of a plane. I've gone hang gliding and caving, probably several other things, but I am definitely looking for that adrenaline ride.
So what's next for you over the coming 12 months?
I'm really looking to really expand or lock in my Alterbridge Strategy brand as a go-to brand and partner for SaaS leaders who are trying to evolve for the AI era. When I look at the statistics, and because it's been part of my life forever, it seems, there are way too few that have really taken action. Companies are doing a little bit, but the majority haven't really taken the steps that they need to. I want to make it easier for SaaS leaders to know where they are, what the real risks are and the opportunities, and to get the level of support that actually matches kind of the moment. And I'm also expanding my Power Moves, my brand, which is the brand behind my book and executive AI leadership. And later this summer, I will be launching, probably in July, launching my own podcast focused on how AI is reshaping the software industry and basically what it's creating, what it's threatening, and how SaaS leaders are working through that shift in real time.
What is the best way for our audience to contact you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is either through my email, which is Kristi@alterbridgestrategies.com, or on LinkedIn at Kristi Perdue.
I will put Kristi's contact information in our show notes to make it easy for everybody to reach out Kristi, I want to thank you for being a guest on our Fractionals Unplugged show. Be sure to subscribe to both our podcast on all the major platforms and our YouTube channel for our videos. Create your market narrative to tell the compelling story of your ideal clients. Position yourself as an executive rather than a vendor. Generate more qualified leads, relevant referrals, stronger pricing, and get the work that you love to do and are passionate about. You know what your work is worth. Isn't it time the market did too? Until next time.